Trevis Nation, what's good? How y'all feeling, man? Appreciate you guys for tuning in and rocking with us for another episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. Here a little bit late because the Bears is out here on games with. No, I'm playing. No, really, they put that up. We all thought that list was coming out of the 53-man roster right at 3 o'clock. The Bears said, we got you at 4:45 on that. So we had to get in the episode of the Chicago Bears podcast. But the 53 is set. We will go over who made the roster, a surprise cut, and some surprise information on him being cut based off of his Twitter. Got to talk about Trevis Gipson being cut from the roster. Of course, the receiver room, just to see kids' reaction whenever Bayless Jones is brought up. And then just the overall outlook of how we feel about this team. All that and more in today's episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. Hit that like button. Y'all be playing with us on the like button. Subscribe to the page. We do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. It's the only channel. Talk Chicago sports, how Chicago talk. So make sure you get in tune with us. Kid!
Let's do it.
Kendall Vildor is gone. That's where we get.
Hey, listen.
That's where we starting at.
It's a great way to start that. You know, I saw that name on there. I was like, oh, he's happy.
Yeah, I mean, Kendall Vildor's gone. Listen, I have endured 3 years of Kendall Vildor basically being a crash test dummy for every wide receiver in the NFL. And, listen, I hope he comes back on the practice squad. Very good special teams guy. You know what I mean? But he was starting.
He was starting.
That's a problem.
Was the problem.
It is what it is.
That was
I don't feel bad. You can't fight me. No, I mean, listen, active roster right now, right? I love how they got this lined up too for all the media guys that are going to go all in on this because I get the access to the Bears, basically their inside website that gives us all the stuff. First name on the list, Tyson Bagent on the team. We'll talk about him a little bit more. Right. Lozingame, Bourne makes it, Jatire Carter, Chase Claypool, Nate Davis, Justin Fields, Deontay Foreman, Khalil Herbert, Travis Homer making it. I thought he might be a bubble guy because I didn't know what he was going to do as far as, how were they going to go more in on special teams with him. He does make it on the roster. Tevin Jenkins is here, but Tevin Jenkins will be designated for IR. I believe they have to do that tomorrow, so you won't see him for the first 4 weeks of the season. Roshan Johnson, Braxton Jones, Bayless Jones, Cole Kmet, Doug Kramer surprisingly made it. I thought he might be another guy who could miss, but we're very thin at that center position. Mercedes Lewis, Darnell Mooney, DJ Moore, Lucas Patrick, Tyler Scott, Equinemius St. Brown, Robert Tunyon, Cody Whitehair, and Darnell Wright. That is your 25 offensive players on the roster. Of course, Dan Freeney has to go through his physical before they add him to this list. He will make the roster because they just traded for him yesterday. What do you think about this Bears offense right now as you're hearing it? Is there a part of this offense that still has you a little bit concerned?
No, I mean, the people who got waived, we expected to get waived, especially on the offensive end. I don't know if you mentioned these particular ends. I think you just did. We saw the extra tight end. We knew he was going to get waived. We knew
Carlson. I knew was.
We knew he was going to get waived. I mean,
the second he dropped Bagent's clear cut touchdown, that was a gorgeous throw. You knew he was gone.
He was out of here.
It's the only reason the kid knows who this man is. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Hey, and because I have to hang around with you, and if I don't know it, eventually people are going to find out, and so I have to know my stuff a little bit.
Hey, listen, nobody faults you if you don't know Carlson, but if you don't know Carlson after you drop that touchdown, we on your head.
I know, right? Let's see. We dropped the fullback. We knew we were going to drop a fullback. So there are no surprises there. I think the only surprise is the fact that we cut 2 QBs. I didn't expect us to cut 2.
I was a little shocked by that as well. I didn't think we would cut Peterman as well, but I think Peterman makes it back on the practice squad.
True. So for those who don't know, waive does mean normally you get it's like 16 people on the practice squad. You get about 6 of those.
Yeah.
From the fully vested players.
Yeah. They're only going to get after 4 years.
Vested,
you don't go through waivers, basically.
Yeah.
So Peterman, they can pick right back up on the practice squad.
So that might happen. Interestingly enough, I did not think Michael Ojemudia would. I always want to say
Ojemudia. Only reason I know how to say it now is because Adam Amin learned to say it, and he is a stickler when it comes to saying people's names. Bro, I swear to you, I asked Jalen Johnson how to say it. I asked Tyler Scott how to say it, and they both said we just call him OJ.
OJ, it is, dog. That's a
That's
tough
crazy in
name.
football.
That's
You
a
can't
tough
just throw
name to say
OJ
in
out there.
football, though.
I
Yeah,
said, y'all better call him MOJ or something. You got to switch something up there. I don't know. It don't
yeah. I
matter.
don't
He
know
ain't on the
about that
team now,
one.
right?
I don't know
I'll
about
be
that
honest
one.
with you. The only room to me that I look at with any question marks is the off or the wide receiver room, where we thought we were the strongest at, because we haven't seen Chase Claypool, we haven't seen Bayless Jones Jr. How he's made this roster completely contradicts what you
Mhm.
did with PJ Walker. And I said this today, right? And there's a couple of times that you'll hear me say this. This is 110% the switch of the regime. This is
Yeah.
favoritism. This is saving face. This is Coach Richard Hightower banging the table saying, we need a guy like him on our team. You went out and drafted this guy in the 3rd round, and that's why he's on this team, because he's shown you nothing. The one thing that saved him and puts him on this team guaranteed is the fact that he got hurt, because he couldn't show you any more fumbles. Now you also threw Dante Pettis on injured reserve before the season started, which means he's going to miss the entire year.
Yeah.
You didn't have a ton of options, but listen, I can go find kick returners and punt returners. You're basically putting him on this roster as a wide receiver, which in the listen, he's got to show it to me in the season, but in training camp and practice, he looked good at wide receiver. I've said that the entire time. We didn't get to see it in preseason. I don't know if he's going to show it all of a sudden in the regular season. I hope he does, because we just kept him.
The crazy thing is, I think you said it best yesterday. Are you willing to tie your career to this particular guy?
Yeah.
And apparently they are, or apparently he is, excuse me. And so at this particular point, you got to live with it. Now, the funny thing is, obviously Bayless Jones is not going to be the headliner for this. I know everyone's waiting to get to Trevis Gipson and things of that nature. We're going to do that in just a second. But you look at the rest of this roster, who was waived, who we kept, and stuff like that. I think most of it is who we expected, outside of maybe one or two names, who we just mentioned. Everything else was to be expected. I think we kind of knew who was going to be there. And
there was no surprises. Even the surprises that we did get, it was like, oh, that's a surprise. All right, we can move past that.
Moving past it. Like you said a guy, basically. So you said a guy.
Who was that? A guy.
A guy, right? And so that's one of those things where it's like, hey, but this still doesn't change from the fact that we still made some moves today. We picked up someone. I know we're going to talk about that. I don't want to skip too far ahead. But we saw that. I mean, you called that yesterday as well. We probably pick up some veteran O-linemen from somewhere. We did that. And
didn't
now
expect a trade, but yeah,
it's a trade. 6th rounder, right? 6th rounder.
Ryan Poles will get that back. There's one thing I can guarantee: when Ryan Poles trades a 6th rounder, there might be 2 coming back, or maybe a 5th. Like,
but it's a 6th rounder.
It's a 6th rounder,
and he hasn't done too well late in draft.
No, Braxton Jones pretty good. For a 6th rounder, for a 5th rounder, I mean.
What was Bayless?
3rd. Bayless was a 3rd round pick. That's why he's on the team. That's why he's on the team.
See, I get more upset every time I really think about this, because who was available 3rd round too. We have receivers available 3rd round. No, he wasn't a 3rd round pick.
Pickens wasn't available still.
No, Pickens was it Pierce?
Pickens was gone. Pickens was gone already.
I think Pierce.
We might have been able to get old boy that me and you liked, that ended up going to Indy, Alec Pierce.
That's what I'm talking about.
He might have still been available, but Alec Pierce don't look good either.
He ain't had nobody to throw to, dog. Throw to him. He
listen,
Sky Moore was there.
Sky Moore
was there.
Sky Moore I liked. He was small though.
I gotta go back.
And the problem was you wasn't gonna draft Sky Moore and have Darnell Mooney.
Darnell Mooney, that was
right. Like you sitting there looking at, we don't care about nobody tall on this.
I forget who it was. I'm gonna go back and see, because I don't want to just.
Sky Moore was there. That was a name that we was both in on, but we was like, you're not gonna draft this guy.
I think Alec was a 2nd rounder.
Alec might have been before. I know we could have still gotten him. We could have gotten Pickens and still gotten Brisker. And we went Gordon.
That's what it was.
But
it's just to say, but again, remember when we drafted him, we was like, who's that guy?
Hey, bro.
Like, we was all like,
hey,
okay,
bro, hey,
who's he?
Our faces went,
yeah. We did it. What we do. So
He said, shout out to Tanner with the super chat said, Pat figured out why. LOL. I feel you shaking my head while Bayless made it. Not a hashtag. We doing a whole hashtag for Bayless out here, brother. Start the trend on Twitter, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's not keep the people waiting. Let's talk about what
Let's talk about the defensive guys that made it and the ones that didn't. So Andrew Billings on this roster, Josh Blackwell. Blackwell's a special teams guy who also is a decent DB. He didn't surprise me making it. Jaquan Brisker, of course. Dylan Cole was a surprise for me. I didn't think Dylan Cole was going to be a guy that was going to make it.
You didn't really hear much about him doing anything or
I mean, he's a backup body at the linebacker position. I didn't think hey, what kills me? 55, bro. 55, you wearing Lance Briggs number, bro? 55. Come on, dog. You gotta get that number up. Javon Dexter, Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards.
Gotta retire that joint then.
Bro, Bears got too many defensive players, bro. You can't retire all the numbers. If you retire all the numbers, you're gonna have us in 3 digits. You don't have 101 out there. Like, I don't want to see that.
This is like a side conversation, but how does that work?
They give you like a ring of honor sometimes where like you get inducted into this thing, and the Bears don't have one, right? The Lions have one where basically you get inducted into this ring of honor. People can wear your number, but right, like you're honored, like your number's retired. Some of them do retire the numbers, but the Bears got too many defensive names.
Like you have your own retiring all the defensive names type situation.
Yeah, like if we start retiring all the defensive names numbers, bro, we're not gonna have numbers from basically 31 all the way down to freaking like 70s, 80s. Like you're gonna miss numbers.
Why don't we have a ring of honor? It's only like one championship in the last lifetime.
Yeah, but there's defensive Hall of Famers. Like I think the Bears have. Am I mistaken? Bears have the second most Hall of Famers in the NFL. I think the Bears might have the second most Hall of Famers in the NFL. But you seen an offensive player?
I mean, it's like 2. We got like 2 offensive players. I remember.
Hey, Devin might make it. We don't even like him as a wide receiver.
Devin and Sweetness. Outside of that, I mean,
hey, let's keep going here. Who else made it? Who else? The most Hall of Famers. Okay. Hey, everybody in the chat, correct me. I love it. TJ Edwards makes it. Kyler Gordon, Rasheed Green, Elijah Hicks, Eddie Jackson, Jalen Johnson. Jalen Jones made it, defensive back as well. Justin Jones, Terrell Lewis, Yannick Ngakoue, of course, Zach Pickens, Dominique Robinson, Jack Sanborn, Noah Sewell, Terrell Smith, Tyreek Stevenson, AJ Thomas, and DeMarcus Walker round out your defense. Here's where this conversation begins. And let me know in the comments how you guys feel. Hit that like button if you agree. Subscribe to the page, of course. What has Dominique Robinson done since week 1? The conversation that we have.
Hey, you went back to him after we talked about him all yesterday?
The conversation that we have, because here's the reason why, right? The conversation that we have on Trevis Gipson being cut, not traded, being cut, changes greatly when Trevis Gipson tweets out today, on top of everything that we know, also, I did not request a trade. So Ryan Poles basically told Trevis Gipson through this entire process, you no matter what you're doing, right? We're not going to go to you. And this is why this irritates me. And I get it. It happens with every regime. There, of course, was going to be one that we were going to look at and be like, what the heck happened in this situation? Why is this guy not on the team? Why are we not sitting in here?
So run that back for me though.
But what? Let me.
Do your thing. Do your thing. My fault.
Basically, what he did was say, I drafted Dominique Robinson last year. I believe that Dominique Robinson is going to be better than what he showed in year 1 because he was playing wide receiver 2 years ago. And so it's going to take him some time to get used to this role. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to go with Dominique Robinson over Trevis Gipson, Rasheed Green over Trevis Gipson. When I don't care 3-4-4-3. His hands in the dirt. He's trying to get to the quarterback. He's someone that can do that. Now, I understand the politics that happen, But at the end of the day, Trevis Gipson is a better player than Dominique Robinson. He's a better player than Rasheem Green. He's a better player. Like Terrell Lewis, to me, may have outplayed him, but you never gave Trevis Gipson the opportunity at any point in this camp. He was never with the ones. He was always with the twos and the threes to show I can do this with the ones on this team. That's my only issue.
So I have to ask this question too, and you would know more than most of us here, with being a little more tapped in now, right? Shout out to you, my boy. That's what's up. Shout out to you, right? Like flex, right? Flex. But getting back to the question, one, what? Like he didn't ask for a trade, so where did that report come from? And two, why was there no clarity? Now it's not his. I want to say this. This is just that directly to Mike. He doesn't owe the fans any clarity. It's one of those things where he was on the field when this really started to pick up. Like he was on the field when it first was announced.
He knew.
But he
That's
knew.
what it is. He knew. He knew that he was, because here's the thing. Remember, the Bears granted him the right to seek a trade. If he didn't request to be traded, that means Ryan Poles and or Matt Eberflus or the group collecting of them came to him and said, you're not going to make this team. If you would like to go somewhere specific, we will trade you there. Or we will try to get a trade there for you.
Now that's totally different than he requested for a trade.
That's a very different situation. Now, I don't know.
That's actually looking out for you though, if you think about it.
Well, not really. You're gonna cut me. I'm gonna be a free agent. I can go anywhere I want.
Yeah, but waiving him, he's still under his normal contract. Like a team could pick him up on a wire, but like he still gets paid the same thing.
Yeah, 100%. But
it doesn't even matter. Like if a team wants him, they can now get him.
If they want him, they can go get him. I think that it's one of those things where, to me, right, Trevis Gipson, it's the Roquan Smith situation, right? And I think that certain things were handled poorly in that situation. The contract that was offered to him, how it was structured, things like that. I think those were handled poorly. But basically, Ryan Poles is saying, that's his way of saying, I don't want you to be here. Like, I don't have a role for you. We don't have a spot on you for this team. Where the team is heading, you're not going to be a part of that. You find yourself somewhere else. I don't agree with it. Now, I will say this. I get it. This is regime changes. There were players that were on this team when Ryan Pace came in that we said, if you're going to keep anybody, keep him. Ain't keep him. This happens with every regime change. There's going to be casualties. At the end of the day, you want to know what we can find again? Trevis Gipson.
We can find an entire defense. Find what we've done Trevis our entire lives.
Gipson. I'm not worried about finding another Trevis Gipson. But what it also says is I'm willing to. Dominique Robinson basically had to do nothing to make this team. And I don't like that. Because he's done nothing all preseason. He's done nothing in training camp that's been of any ilk to me to show me that he's made this leap from last season. The last time we saw him do something is when he got a sack and a half in week 1 versus Trent Williams. And I don't know if y'all know that. That was like literally a year ago.
Yeah, and you know what the funny thing is?
By the way, how many sacks did he finish the season with last year?
2, I think.
No, sack and a half. It all happened that first game.
Oh, well. Sack and a half. So, but here's the funny thing though. Now this case is slowly there's no perfect GM. So I want people to understand that for every good GM, there's 1,001 like mistakes that they made. We just praise the things that hit. So let's be real. But it goes to show like this slow case of, or how hard the job is for one, or the slow case of saying, hey, we love Ryan Poles, love the fact that the Bears are moving in this direction. But there's still some reasons for us to be like, hey, dog, you tripping. Because now you talk about Dominique Robinson. I have to agree with that. I really ain't heard much for him. I am very big on the fact that a guy who cost you games and has not made the same mistake game 1 of a preseason shouldn't be on your roster. I think that's just a given. That's a given in any sport. I don't know why it didn't happen now. So those are some of the decisions. I'm like, hey, you got to really help me understand. You and on top of that, it's a pride thing because you drafted him probably higher than you should have. We've been discussing him since you drafted, not in a good way. And then on top of that, he stays on the roster when he really didn't need to. And now it's not just one, but you have multiple guys in which we're questioning. It's like, yo, if this starts to go left, we're going to be coming back to these moments like, hey, the decision making wasn't always on point. Then if you want to look at this is how narrative shift. It starts there if things go left, but then people are going to talk about how contract negotiations were handled and stuff like that. It seems good when like you seem like you're riding the ship.
Yeah.
But it can be painted a totally different way if things go left. And so that's why it's like one of those things where I'm not saying this about polls. I'm just saying be mindful of the narrative, be mindful, understand how heavy these situations are, because it only takes one bad season for people to start saying, hey, polls don't know what he's doing.
Well, listen, at the end of this year, right, that we already know what's coming, right? Like, listen, if at the end of this year, the Chicago Bears don't go out and win 7+ games, everyone's going to say he doesn't know what he's doing. We know that that's coming.
We know it's happening.
You know what I mean? Listen, Ryan Pace won GM of the year. Matt Nagy won Coach of the year. 2 years later, we all looked around and were like, what the heck's going on here? Who are the clowns running this show? Not rightfully so. There was some clown things going on there. Pat Mahomes and Deshaun Watson don't play for us. So, it kind of goes into that. But
yeah,
I just, to me, I can live with a Trevis Gipson because you still got some really good defensive linemen on this team, right? Andrew Billings is a big body up the middle. You added Yannick Ngakoue. Yannick Ngakoue is a great add. You added Yannick Ngakoue on a prove-it deal to get to the quarterback. That's a great add. You've got DeMarcus Walker, who now gets to be your number 2 again and comes on the other side of Yannick Ngakoue. That's a great add. I think that there's some really good moves that he made. Listen, I don't like when this is more so me being what's the word for it, right? This is more so me being like the Robin Hood, I guess. I don't like, favoring the rich and taking from the poor.
And
in this situation, there was never any worry that DeMarcus or Dominique Robinson wasn't going to make this team. There was never, I never in my mind was like, Dominique Robinson won't make this team. Now, I said many times he shouldn't make this team. He hasn't done anything. He's looked bad, but there was never a thought in my mind where I thought he's not going to make this team. And I don't like when I see stuff like that, because you got to show me. I can't just give you whatever you want to say about Justin Fields and how he threw the ball. At a minimum, guess what? I've seen quarterbacks win using their legs. I've seen quarterbacks get all the way to the Super Bowl using their legs and completing 52% of their passes. It's Cam Newton. He also won MVP that season.
That's a fact.
Yeah, I mean, I can see. I've seen Justin Fields scenario work multiple times. Mike Vick is going to the Mike Vick is going to the Hall of Fame. Mike Vick is going to the Hall of Fame, right? Maybe don't take.
Hey, you know what, Colin Kaepernick?
Colin Kaepernick. But here's the thing: Colin Kaepernick was so inaccurate that his legs stopped working. Justin Fields isn't that inaccurate.
Wait, what? Hold on.
Because Colin Kaepernick was the type. Colin Kaepernick was the type of quarterback where his speed wasn't it was his size and him being able to throw you off on, okay, you can't sit here and put a spy on me because I might throw this mug. His best passing season, he was able to run all over the place.
The reality of
being mad and accurate.
We can name a host of QBs who had a really good season. I mean, listen, Tim Tebow went on a freakishly good run in the NFL.
Yeah,
he can't even get that man's out there trying out for tight end positions at this point. Realistically.
Tim Tebow just getting that money. You know what I love about Tebow too, which is
a really likable guy.
No, that too, but you also don't see it a ton, right? I think Orlovsky knows the game of football, but he absolutely is a clickbait hot take guy. I think Tim Tebow actually just knows the game of football and wasn't talented enough to play it at the NFL level. He
wasn't talented to play. He wasn't a traditional QB by any
but he really understands the ins and outs of football.
Yeah.
He literally he'll sit there and he can dissect. He can tell you where the defense is, what they're running, how they should be lined up, how you should attack that defense. He just can't do it.
Yeah, he wasn't an accurate QB.
And so he didn't want to be a backup.
And he should have been a backup. He's Taysom Hill for sure. But
he didn't want to do that either. He didn't want to be Taysom Hill.
He's definitely Taysom Hill.
He didn't want to be Taysom Hill. He was like, no, I'm throwing this mug. And they was like, you can't. It didn't go 15
I
yards.
always wonder what happens with that. Like, why can't a QB in a professional league, like, you know how people get better year over year?
Yeah.
Like, why does that not happen for certain people? Like in basketball, you can see people get better year over year, even if they get older. As a QB, like, why couldn't he work on his accuracy? Why couldn't
Because at a minimum,
why couldn't Cam? Well, Cam had shoulder injuries, which kind of
Cam got
hampered
beat
him.
up. They used Cam basically
Yeah,
as a tall
so that's
running back.
different. His body didn't allow him. But Tim Tebow wasn't beat up. So, like, why couldn't he just work that part out?
It was. I think it was just different, right? Like Tim, realistically, not to say he was the first, but you wasn't using quarterbacks like that. You wasn't using quarterbacks as the dude that you was just, and Tim ain't got a Cam Newton run what, a 4.4? What's Tim Tebow 40 times? Tim Tebow's like a 4.5. like he ain't Cam.
Yeah,
Chi-town here. Cam's shoulder fell off. Basically, it turned into brisket. I mean, Cam's shoulder turned into brisket.
Here's an interesting thing, though, just to steer the conversation back to what we were just talking about. 17 of the 21 players that Poles has drafted earned a spot.
Yeah. And here's the wild part. It's not right. Everybody, like Travis Bell is cut. We drafted him this year. And Travis Bell looked okay. Travis Bell he's probably gonna be on the practice squad if he doesn't get picked up. He looked okay. You know what I mean? Like, so there's times where he shows it, but like there's other times where it's just like the Trevis Gipson move to me was
and Williamson got cut.
You say who?
And Williamson.
Yeah. The Trevis Gipson cut to me was, we're not going to pay you long term. We're probably, and I also don't know, right? It might even be, hey, listen, I'm not dealing with clutch. Like, you're not gonna, like when they take over the league, maybe I'll deal with that, but I'm not going to deal with clutch. I'm not going to deal with
Clutch's reputation is not being spoken of highly as it used to.
I mean, listen, they get the job done, though. It don't matter.
Definitely get the job done. Though.
They get the job done. Listen, usually if you getting a bunch of money out of me, I'm not gonna view you very highly.
Hey, Breeze Nation, I promise you all, we're definitely gonna get one of those agents on this thing. I want to get a real agent on here to help us understand some stuff. It's so fascinating when you understand how these contracts work. Say what?
Let's get Rich Paul. Let's call him.
Why not?
Why not? Let's get Rich Paul on here. Yeah,
right. Who's no? We need to get the vice president on here. Vice president of the bid. He was a lawyer. He knows how to read these contracts.
Are you talking about Ted Phillips?
We need to get him on here.
Ted Phillips ain't coming on here. I don't know if I can get Ted Phillips on here without being like, hey, man, why you ain't approve all these deals that could have made us better all over? Nah.
Just don't do that. Don't do it. See the moment you mentioned that,
we had the Chicago kid. Why didn't you approve the trade? Just start losing it on him.
Yeah, no, you done lost it already. Just the simple fact that you made a joke about it, we ain't gonna never get him on here. They're gonna pull that up. Like, remember these guys said this about you.
How dare I tell the truth about how he made our football team worse? This tweet came out from Kevin Fishbane earlier with Trevis Gipson and Kendall Vildor waived. Only 9 Ryan Pace draft picks remain on the roster. Cody Whitehair, Eddie Jackson, Cole Kmet, Jalen Johnson, Darnell Mooney, Justin Fields, Tevin Jenkins, Larry Borum, and Khalil Herbert. I have this question for the pod, this question for the chat. Hit that like button if you have not done so. Subscribe to the page. We do this Monday through Friday, usually around 5-6 o'clock, something like that. Y'all know how we get down,
something
man.
Like that.
We do a lot of stuff, so we just be trying to get up in here. Cole Kmet is paid. Are we going to head into next season where none of these guys are on the roster?
None of those guys that got paid?
Cole Kmet's the only one that's gotten paid. Jalen Johnson going to be up for contract. Eddie Jackson is going to be up for contract. Justin Fields, we know his situation, right? We're going into next year basically saying, are we picking up the 5th year or not? Darnell Mooney, we talked about him yesterday. Could he be a trade candidate? Courtney didn't think so on today's Chicago Bears podcast. She's like, y'all realize, I know everybody ran with this, but like he said, surprise trade. Like that means it would be a surprise. Like Tevin Jenkins, injury guy. I'd love to pay him. Love to have him on the team. Mad injury pro.
I could see Tevin not being on this roster.
Larry Borum.
Larry actually did pretty good in preseason, though. I know it's just preseason, but still.
Larry couldn't stay off concussion protocol last season. That's my biggest concern with him. Khalil Herbert is y'all know how he values the running back position. We know it. Khalil Herbert's probably not going to be here. Kendall Vildor and Trevis Gipson waived. I think you're heading towards a scenario where maybe two of these guys are on the team next season, maybe three, at most three.
I'm not going to make any statements about Fields being on this team until about midway.
Well, I think
I'm gonna give you I'm gonna give you about week 8 for us to really see whether or not this is where we're gonna go. I'm going to give him a fair shot. I'm not going to sit there. But as far as the running back situation, kind of depends on what you want, how much money we talking. We already see what the league has said. Jim Irsay paid a kicker more than he would have paid JT. That goes to tell you something.
Yeah.
All right. I do want to say do want people to understand this. Owners and leadership in sports are now taking back control of their leagues.
Oh yeah.
So if you honestly
you're not sitting here with your demands anymore.
Hey.
And, well, listen, the NFL never really lost control.
It started to. They started to get a little bit, but like the NFL ain't going. Listen, people said that Trey Lance wasn't going to get traded, and wasn't this that man's in the Cowboys jersey. And guess what? Of all the teams he could have gone to, Cowboys was not the team that we thought.
Yeah.
So that owner's pretty much telling them, hey, get it together. I already got your backup. Like, but those are, I mean, Jerry Jones has been like the guy in the football forever. But I say all that to say, like, if Poles handles this like a real organization, I wouldn't get tied to any of these players until midway through the season where we can actually see what's happening. I just wouldn't. We have the draft capital. We have the right situations for moves to be made and shifts to be made immediately. Immediately meaning like within a season or two for us to be in a totally different situation. And that's how Post has given himself an exit route. I like the way he set it up. He's also given himself a good opportunity to say, hey, if I do got my QB, I now have a lot to work with to make sure he has an O-line to keep him upright. Like he set himself up all the way around, and you have to really applaud that. But if it gets ugly, he set himself up to be like, hey, get him out of here.
I don't know if they listen, maybe you put yourself in a position where you make that decision in the long term, but we're still 2 years away from that. Like I said, like just
2 years away from what exactly?
2 years away from even talking about Justin Fields being out of here, because at a minimum, like I said, Justin Fields has a talent that most people in the NFL can't do. Whether you like it or not.
Explosive running back. Explosive running qualities, not running back.
Explosive running qualities.
Yeah.
Whether we like it or not, he has, like, there's not 5 quarterbacks in the NFL that can do that. There's just not. Jalen Hurts can't do that. Jalen Hurts isn't as fast as Justin Fields. Like, he can't do that. Like, there's a gear that Justin Fields has that Lamar has.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're going to, and guess what? Lamar Jackson, MVP. Right? Whether we like it or not, 3,200 yards, 34 touchdowns. I think 12 of them were rushing, whatever.
I did something that's going to shock you. I went back and really revisited that Lamar Jackson.
He was throwing the football, wasn't he?
I really, really went back there. I was just like, I don't know why he runs so much, but the boy got an arm.
He can throw.
I was like, hey, dog.
Hey, now you see why I'm trying to get Zay Flowers up out of Ken. He on games with this trade. You saw that in the chat today.
I'm gonna be real honest with you. I was like, man, listen,
he can throw.
I'm not a fan of that style of football. And I'm gonna tell you why. I'm not a fan of that style of football because it don't last.
No, you know what don't last? Because here's my issue. Like, this is what I've said. Cam did not get hurt running. Mugs talk about Cam getting hurt like he was running when he got hurt. Cam did not get hurt.
He did get hurt. Oh, I remember Cam got hurt. He got hurt it was like on the goal line. He got hurt running.
Cam got hurt. He got hurt running. Pocket. Cam got his ankle messed up in the pocket.
I'm talking about his shoulder. He had a shoulder injury. He got a shoulder injury trying to run.
I don't remember the shoulder trying to run, but both of the injuries that have had him miss major time have been in the pocket. You want to know why? Because they were like, we don't really need offensive line. Can't be running.
Nah.
Until this season, they was like, hey, maybe we need to put some bodies in front of him. That's why I like what Ryan Poles has done. That's why I like what
That's a fact.
You know, the that Cam didn't get the same protection from the refs either.
And Justin's not getting the same
Justin
protection
Fields
from the
don't
refs.
either.
That's why y'all see why I don't like it. I don't like it simply because of that.
Where does he not get protected?
My fault.
Where does he not get protected? It's not when he's out there running.
No,
when he's running in the
those
pocket,
late hits. He's had several late hits when he's running out of bounds on the sideline.
all over the place.
He's gotten it all over the place. What I'm saying is for Justin Fields, it's not just one thing. Like, you make a great case with Cam and stuff like that. I hear exactly what you're saying, but Justin get treated like a scrub at times.
Yeah,
and that'd be like, yo, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I don't know where we lost the drive. Like, that's why we love Tevin so much, because when we saw him stand up for Justin, be the only one to do it, we were like, oh, that's why we love him.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait for Darnell. Hey, my favorite thing that Ryan Poles keeps saying. Ryan Poles is he says it so positively too. It's like, so what's your thoughts on, what do you like about Darnell Wright? What do you think he brings? It's like, he's such a prick, bro. Like, I don't like, it's like wait a minute, what? Like, bro, like, he says it's so but it's like, no, you're not gonna hit my quarterback. You're not gonna hit my quarterback late. You want to play that game. And here's the thing, like, Tom Thayer even talked about this, right? Especially he was there protecting McMahon, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that goes down. And when they would hit Jim Harbaugh late, right? Because Jim Harbaugh was there too. When they would hit him late, he said, oh, when they would start playing that game, we knew how to play that game in the trenches. Oh, you gonna hit him late? Guess who ain't got no knees the next play? Yeah, I take 15 yards. Your knee don't work. Like that. And you don't want to see that, but it's one of those situations where
I know how to
when your quarterback's not being protected,
yeah,
your offensive line needs to step up, protect it. I think you have the offensive line that's going to do that here. I will say this. We're all getting a little bit too sensitive on the Justin criticism. And when I say we all, I mean people who are just too sensitive on the Justin criticism.
Like, please, y'all.
Listen,
like,
Justin Fields, it's okay to say sometimes Justin Fields looks bad. I saw Robert Tonyan today, and I want to bring this clip to the screen, because JT O'Sullivan, the quarterback, you know the quarterback guy that we like, the quarterback school.
Oh, yeah, quarterback school.
Yeah.
I watched his joint earlier today. He gave a good review on it. I mean, and the thing is, he's a very unbiased dude.
Yeah.
Like, if you doing something good, he praises it. He is a known Justin Fields supporter.
Yeah. He likes Justin.
He likes Justin.
Justin.
He was grilling him.
He was cooking Justin here. Let's see if this will play. I don't know why. Like, when I went to share the screen, all of a sudden it went away. But I saw this today. Robert Tonyan was upset about it. Let's see.
When you get in the season, you're game planning to win. I mean, as weird as it sounds, like, you're just running base stuff in the preseason, and you're not like scheming up to be successful and win the game and so on. So I think you'll see a lot more of, the creation and the creative side of, Luke, and you'll get to see Justin be more of that playmaker that he is, and, the weapons that we went out and got in the off season. When you get in the season, you're.
So basically, right. That sounded to me like he was calling out JT.
I wouldn't say that.
I just want, because
the noise is so loud, though. Like, the noise is not just from JT. It's a lot of people saying Twitter is a monster in itself.
But that's what I mean, right? That's what I'm saying with all of this, right? I wanted to bring this up because it's okay for people to criticize Justin in the preseason.
Facts.
It's okay for people to criticize Justin and his throwing mechanics right now. I'm gonna be honest with you. They weren't good. He threw the ball low, right? Me and Kid talked about it yesterday. It didn't look good. He threw it low to DJ. He threw it low to DJ twice. The pass he threw to Khalil was a good pass. Khalil got to catch that ball. I don't care what nobody say.
JT mentioned it. He threw that thing like he was about to launch that joint.
But
he threw that thing so hard. I was like,
here's the thing.
That's why I was on the fence in real time. I was like, I don't know about that one, but it was on his hands. He should have caught it.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing to me. It's on your hands. You got to come away with that, and he's hitting you moving forward. You got it. He's hitting you so you can keep going and take off.
To be honest with you, that was his best ball, though.
That was his best ball of the day.
That was the part that I found concerning. And when I saw JT this morning, as I was watching it, the one thing I saw, just because I'm now watching for it, well, shout out to me trying to do some homework, right?
Yeah.
Is the hesitation he would have last season. And he had that when he tried to hit Komet. I think it was Komet. I was like, man, if he doesn't hesitate, Komet catches it, he doesn't, gain much more yards, but the defense isn't there. And at that
It,
point, he almost telegraphs it. And I was like, yeah,
here's
that's
my
gonna be a
thing,
problem.
here's my thing, and I'll use your boy as the perfect example. You know how many preseason games Drew Brees looked bad in when he was Drew Brees?
When
You
he
know how
was
many
Drew Brees,
preseason like you know how many times like we would sit there and be like, oh, Drew Brees don't look good, and then he gets into the season, he's like, oh, by the way, I'm Drew freaking Brees. Now again, I'm not saying Justin Fields is that guy, but
I'm
it's
about to
so
say Drew Brees is the most accurate QB in history. So
right,
like,
right. But
I'm like,
what I'm
hold
what
on
I'm
there, son.
saying is
Whoa there, buddy.
one, we don't know protection schemes that you're practicing. Two, we don't
That's
know
true.
what they're realistically telling these guys to work on in this game. Like I told you, that last preseason game when they sent Justin out there, I said they're just practicing to see if Doug Kramer can snap the football to him in a real game situation. That was all they want to see. Because how many times was like, and what I will say about JT's sitting there breaking down like Darnell Mooney down the sideline and how Justin's gotta hit him and like Justin's like they're not doing nothing. Like literally he's rolling
I
out just like
remember that
please
play.
don't hit
Yeah.
me. You know what I mean? Like
The funny thing is, the crazy thing, he kind of contradicted himself there. He's like, when you get to this particular play, you kind of already predetermined where you're going to go. So he wasn't going to look at Mooney on that play. He wasn't going to hit Mooney on that play. He snapped it. He was going exactly where he was going to go. And then it was the end of that sequence. Like,
but here's my thing. I am upset if I saw anything, and this is what I'd say yesterday on the show. If I had seen anything that I saw in practice and they tried to run that on the field, I would have been upset. I don't think I saw one screen pass to Khalil Herbert the entire time at training camp. That's one of the touchdowns. I don't think I saw like there's nothing I saw in practice that they ran on the field and I was like, that looks completely different than when they were running that against. When we get to week one, now granted, right? You didn't run your stuff. You got to be good.
you got to be good. You got to be good.
But both sides are doing too much.
The haters are too loud when
the
you don't
haters
know.
are losing their mind. Justin sucks. I can't believe I knew it. We got Jordan Love. The D riding is crazy over there in Green Bay, but that's par for the course. And then on the flip side of that, right, like you got the people that just overly are in love with Justin. They're glazing him every time they get an opportunity. And realistically, it's just like, bro, like you gotta. It's probably going to end up somewhere in the middle. Here's my realistic hope. We go into week one, we dominate. Justin Fields maybe has one passing touchdown, one rushing touchdown, but he just looks, comfortable running the offense like he did last season. Justin didn't look uncomfortable running the offense last season. I don't know where this notion comes from.
I don't know where that notion came from. He looked uncomfortable throwing the ball at times, but he didn't look uncomfortable calling the play, getting out. No, he didn't look uncomfortable running the offense.
He looked
like he belonged.
He looked comfortable running the offense. He looked uncomfortable with who he was throwing to. Guess what? I was uncomfortable with who he was throwing to.
I was uncomfortable with his protection. That's what it was. I was uncomfortable with him being on his face after like a second. Like that's what it was.
I mean, Justin was down there so much. I thought it was Kanye West and his girl. Anyway, but I just think that realistically, what happened? I thought we got to move past that.
Hey, you know what?
I'm just not supposed to laugh. You're supposed to just keep it together. We can move past it.
Move past that. Yay out here doing yay things. Hey, remember, he had Kim in the car first.
Girl, you supermodel thick.
For some odd reason, that's just his go-to right there. That lets you know he's marking territory. His go-to was this public something. Anyway, we're gonna keep past that.
Pull up with a Kerry Washington.
Here's a funny thing, though. Here's a funny thing. As if that wasn't just funny. Here's a funny thing, though, right? I want people to really understand that this is why I ultimately was like, yo, week one is great. It's against our rivals. It does matter. It's the double loss. I get all that. But don't put that weight on Justin to be better than Jordan Love, who's had more professional time than he's had. Like, if Jordan Love goes out there and looks more put together, it's because he should look more put together. Like, he really should. He's had the best opportunity to be and learn from the best. Who was in Justin Fields' QB room?
Andy Dalton, Nick Foles.
Who was in Jordan Love's QB room?
Nick Foles, Carson Wentz.
Did he not have Brett Favre? I mean,
Who?
not Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers.
You said Jordan Love. You said
Jordan,
Jordan
I
Love.
said Jordan Love.
I'm sorry. I'm tweaking. I thought you. I don't know why I thought you went to
I know
Jalen
what you're
Hurts.
saying.
No, Aaron Rodgers. It was in
Aaron Rodgers.
which apparently Aaron actually did like him and actually did work with him, which I think is more
like people just hated Aaron Rodgers.
they did. Like I thought Aaron didn't like him. I ain't gonna lie to you. But then he was like when he would talk about him, yeah.
But apparently he did do some work, so he should look better, or he should have certain mechanics that are down because he's had more of an opportunity. Now, that's not to give him just an excuses. I'm not saying that, but I'm also trying to curve people's like expectations a little bit. Like,
no,
you may be surprised how good Jordan looks. We may be surprised how raw Justin still looks.
No, because I think if that's the case, right, you didn't make an improvement, and I will stand on that because. To me, right, what we saw from the offense from the second half of the season on, Justin had looks. Justin tried to take shots. Justin tried to throw the football to people. They just didn't catch it. Sometimes he was missing. Sometimes he was off base. From that, you should go to, okay, you got better weapons now. Why are you missing these passes? You got better weapons now. Your throws shouldn't be off base. You should be hitting people more crisp. You should be even if you're missing, right? You have the receivers now to bring him in. His passing numbers should improve. This is not a situation for me where it's Mitch Trubisky and we just running it back with Allen Robinson and we like, oh, he'll still be, whatever he was, as long as Anthony Miller takes a step. Like I think that. I do have expectations for him in week 1. And the reason I have those expectations is because the Bears clearly think that he's there because they didn't run anything. They clearly think he has a grasp of this offense because they basically were like, we don't want to see you out there. We don't want to see you playing. We'll see you week 1. Again, if Tevin Jenkins never gets hurt, if Cody Whitehair never injures his hand, Justin Fields and the starters probably do not play that Bills game week 3. I fully believe that. The only reason you had to do it is because it was like, hey, we might have to start Doug Kramer. I don't know, man. I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see what week 1 brings, man. We got a lot more Bears talk coming you guys' way. We appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. As always, hit that like button, subscribe to the page. We'll be back here tomorrow breaking down even more Bears football, if any Bulls news. I actually have an interesting topic that we might need to get into on the basketball side tonight because I think that this correlates so well with the fact that somebody brought a gun in tucked under their belly fat today or a couple of days ago and to Sox Park. And it's got me really asking some serious questions about Jerry Reinsdorf as far as validity in this whole sports thing. But we'll talk about all that and more tomorrow. Appreciate you guys for showing love. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. One love. Peace.